Amongst my friends and family and loved ones, it's become something of a running joke that I host a lifestyle show, that I would presume to tell anyone what a blueprint for better living looks like when I so muddle through it in my own life. And maybe in no area of this show is that more acute than when I'm talking gardening with guests, because I love a great garden, but I have very little capacity to keep my own in check. So my eyes lit up when I heard about Permablitz. It's an idea involving volunteers who basically come in and help you renovate your gardens, backyards, front yards, grassy verges. It sounds great. Surely there's no catch. Guess what? There's a catch. Before any work can be done on your garden, you need to volunteer to help at least 3 other people with their gardens. It's a blueprint for living and a blueprint for community, and I get to talk to 3 people involved with it now. Adrian O'Hagan is the Communications Director for Permablitz. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning. How are you?
I am very well. So tell me how Permablitz came about.
Well, Permablitz came about 10 years or so ago in 2006. The 2 people who started this movement are Dan Palmer and Adam Grubb. And Dan was aware of some South American refugees who had been in the country for a certain amount of time. And these people didn't really have many connections, and they didn't have great health. They didn't have many people who they could engage with, and they were feeling a little bit lonely. And so he saw that what he had learned, which was something called permaculture, could be directly applied to these people. So what he did was he organised a group of friends to team up with these people, and went to one of their houses, and they basically did a design and then got this group of people together and they rolled out the garden. So this garden had everything that the South American people were used to in their own home. So it had a lot of their own natural plants, etc. But it enabled them to form a community in which they're actually able to grow their own food and share them amongst themselves. So it was quite rewarding for them, and it was rewarding for the volunteers who turned up at the day. So much so that at the end of the day there was a bit of salsa dancing and a vow to make this a regular event. And to date we've had almost 200 of those in Melbourne, and the movement has spread across the world.
Just to clarify, 200 of the gardening things, not of the salsa dancing, I hope. I mean, that doesn't have to be a given, surely.
Well, there has been a certain amount of salsa dancing. We had our 10-year celebration party earlier this year, and there was definitely some dancing taking place. But you're right, it's 200 gardens that have been put together in Melbourne.
So the emphasis is on gardens, but your slogan is eating the suburbs one backyard at a time. Like the part of permaculture that's about making produce, about veggie patches, is kind of front and centre in here, isn't it?
Absolutely. We believe that we cannot rely on society to keep on rolling the way that it has. We do live on a finite earth with finite resources. And so we believe that if we can enable people to grow their own food, whether that be something that satisfies their own innate need to get back to nature, or whether that's to encourage people to feed themselves and share amongst their friends and family the produce that they're able to produce. We see it as being a positive, because the most positive feedback we always receive from previous hosts is that, particularly when the edible gardens are done in their front yard, is that they get to meet their neighbours who they never would have previously spoken to, because it has sparks conversation when people walk by. And community is really where it's all at.
I'm worried about this, Adrian. Not only does this require me to be a better gardener than I already am, but it requires me to be a better member of the community than I already am. So you're really asking me to lift my game here. We're going to hear from a couple of people who have actually done this and been involved. I'm going to start. Renee Mackay is a Permablitz coordinator from Perth, and she joins us now. Renee, you're part of the Fremantle Permablitz group, which I imagine was pretty hip and funky, whereas now you've started up a group in Armidale, which is quite a different suburb on the outskirts of the city. Tell me a bit about the difference between the experience in those 2 places.
Yeah, hi, how are you going?
Very
Good.
well.
Just on the talk that you guys were just speaking about, I mean, what we do with ours, I mean, it's very focused on edible food gardens, but we also do a lot of other things as well. So we recently had a Permablitz, I think it was 2 ago, and I helped lead a team of people to build a cob pizza oven. So there's lots of other projects that go on that are just designed to engage the community and get people getting their hands dirty and getting involved. So
Tell me a bit about that process, because you have to volunteer in 3 other projects before your project will even be considered. So presumably you hear about Permablitz and you think, I have these particular needs myself. But you have to kind of shelve those needs, don't you, to start with? You have to start to think about other people's projects first. Tell me about that.
Well, the reason why we kind of put that up as a base idea is that we wanted people to continue to be a part of the group and engage with the group quite regularly because, we had a few people, like you said, I want my garden done over. Great, all these people are going to come and do it for free, and then we wouldn't see them again. So that wasn't what we were trying to achieve. So with the 3, we have people that regularly attend, and then we also help them to the people that have done a bit more design and a bit more permaculture orientated activities. We help them to make the right decisions about what they should do with their space in their yard.
What they should do with the space, the design element is part of this, isn't it? You're involved in actually thinking about everything from the aesthetic to the kind of outcomes of these gardens.
It's a massive part of it. Obviously, designs are always going to evolve, but it's a huge part of it. And we meet up with whoever's going to host a blitz, maybe the week before or 2 weeks before, and fiddle around their garden and talk about their ideas and make sure that they've got all the materials that they require for whatever projects that we're going to do, and get together and share food and chat, and that's great. And then we maybe change some of the ideas that I've had to maybe better suit them, and it's all good fun.
It sounds like it. I'm going to jump from the West Coast over to the East Coast now to another Permablitz participant in Wollongong, and it's Cheryl Whiffen. Cheryl, tell me about your experience in Wollongong. Is there much demand for your help?
Oh, wow. Wollongong's been amazing. We started doing Permablitz here in 2012 for women from Wollongong who had completed permaculture design courses, got together, and partly due to our own needs with our own gardens, wanting to get some assistance. So we set about replicating what Melbourne has been doing. They were so generous. They gave us all the information to help us set up Permablitz in Wollongong. Since then, we've done 14 blitzes. We also do very similar to what's been spoken about. Our lead-in is probably around 3 months, so we will meet with the people who are next on our list to complete a design, and we'll walk and talk through their property. We'll go away and do a bit of a design, come back and check that with them, then we'll tweak it. And what we found is the community spirit that comes with Permablitz has been knocked us off our feet.
One of the things that interests me from your experience is the way in which you can talk about it very much as a learning experience, and you've personally learned a lot about design and garden design out of the back of this.
Absolutely. It's like, somebody goes and studies to be a doctor and then they have to practice. We studied to complete permaculture design courses, and of course you come out of there after a couple of weeks thinking that you can walk in with all this knowledge, but then actually practical application and the experience of doing is where the learning comes, I believe. So what we've found is that by engaging people to come along and help their friends or family do a permaculture design garden, they then learn how to make a no-dig garden. They can go home and do it themselves. Or they may learn about water features and what's imperative for frogs and tadpoles to live. So, there's so much information, and how to do donuts around fruit trees to feed them. Or there's so much in gardening, as any gardener will tell you.
You were involved in a particularly interesting project, having to design the lawns for a funeral parlour. Do I have that right?
That's I work at the Port Kembla Community Centre. We're a very innovative community centre. We have a lot of very interesting projects. We're very much aligned with social enterprise and doing things for not-for-profit. So we've just opened Tender Funerals at Port Kembla, which there was a documentary done a few years ago. We got the old
Did the
fire
funeral parlour
station.
people have to go and do 3 other people's projects first, just out of curiosity? Like, did you have undertakers kind of rolling up their sleeves and helping someone else dig a veggie patch?
No, that didn't happen, no.
No quid pro quo. One rule for the rest of us.
Yeah, that was actually a Perma B, that one. It was only a 2 hours, quickly, massively, get in there, sheet mulch, drop down the wood chip, plant some plants. It was a massive effort.
Adrian O'Hagan, in your capacity in the Melbourne Permablitz stuff, are you seeing people take it up in the spirit that it's intended, or do people kind of treat it with a bit of utility, get what they need out of it and then move away?
I think that there are some people who start out that way. But I actually find that as people get involved and become engaged with the Permablitz groups themselves, then they tend to get a lot out of it themselves, not just the experience of having helped people garden for 6 to 8 hours, but they'll have attended workshops, and those workshops might be how to espalier a tree. It might be how to prepare a no-dig garden. It might be how to do your compost. It could be about how to sharpen your tools. So it gives people a lot of skills to be able to take and apply to their own home. And a lot of people really enjoy the camaraderie of working with other people who just like helping out. So I find that those people who do start off being a little bit more utilitarian in their approach actually become the most passionate advocates for it, because they can see that this community spirit becomes quite infectious. And nothing does that more so than when we have the host whose house is or whose gardens are being prepared for them, gives everybody a big lunch to say thank you for the great job that you're doing.
Sounds like something definitely worth aspiring to. Thank you to all 3 of our guests this morning. Adrian O'Hagan, who's Communications Director for Permablitz Melbourne, Renee Mackay, who's from Permablitz over in WA, and Cheryl Whiffen, Permablitz member from Wollongong.